بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our study of Tahrir al-Wasila, the section on al-Ijtihad wa al-Taqlid. We studied part of lesson 1 of the book Durus fi Tahrir al-Wasila. So on page 14 we started conditions for marja' al-taqlid, shurut marja' al-taqlid. Okay? One was ijtihad, second was bulugh, third was aql, fourth was iman, fifth was dhukura, to be man, six was to be legitimate child, seven was to be alive, eight was to be adil. So we talked about the meaning of adala. This was the last part that we studied. And we said adala is a permanent quality of the soul. Malakatun rasikha. It's a quality of the soul which is established. It's not temporary. It's not something that for few days you have it and then you lose it. Yeah? Ba'ithatun ala taqwa. This quality would push the person and motivate the person towards piety, and that is to avoid haram and do wajibat. If someone commits a major sin or commits minor sins but with insisting on them, the malaka is damaged. Okay? Even according to ihtiyat wajib, minor sin without insisting also is a problem. If, God forbids, a person who had this quality, because when we say it's permanent, it doesn't mean eternal. It means for considerable period of time. It's established, but still human beings are fallible. So if they commit a sin, that adala is damaged. With tawbah, sincere tawbah, you can restore the malaka of adala. If the malaka is there, with tawbah, if the malaka has gone, then you have to establish it again. Then we reach this point. Turuq thubut al-adala. This is where we have to resume. Turuq means ways, means methods of establishing adala. How can you confirm, verify someone's adala? Okay? The methods of verification. تثبت العدالة بالطرق التالية. Adala, justice or righteousness in a sense, because this justice, when you say justice in English, it's limited. Yeah, this is justice in a comprehensive sense. Even personal piety is part of it. First, the first method, al-mu'ashara. المفيدة للعلم أو الإطمئنان. You live with someone. You have lots of contact with someone. For example, you have been a student of a marja. And because you have lived with him, you have had lots of contact and meeting with him, it gives you ilm. المفيدة للعلم. This mu'ashara means coexistence, means living together, gives you knowledge, certainty awil itmi'nan. Or if it is not 100%, at least it's itminan. Itminan means maybe 99%. You know, there is a little chance, but you don't worry because you are very confident that this person is adil. But not 60%, 70%, 80%. It has to be a very, very high probability to the extent that the other possibility is ignored. 99%, for example. So the first way to understand someone is adil, okay, is what? To have personal relation with him, to have contact with him, and you are sure or almost sure that he is adil. It's the first way.
Can you say general consensus of the community?
That's the second one. The second, الشياع المفيد للعلم. It is well spread. شياع. شاع يشيع means to spread, yeah? إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين تشيع شاع شائع. You know we had حمل شائع. شاع يشيع means انتشر. So the second way to establish adala is الشياع المفيد للعلم. It is a common understanding. It's well spread. If you ask everyone, they say he is adil. Okay? So it has produced ilm for you because you hear from everyone the same thing. Third, you don't know him yourself. There is no Shia because he's not very famous or well known. But two people that are just, they bear witness that he is just. Okay? Shahadatu adlain. Two just people, they give witness, testimony that, okay, he is adil. 4, there is another method, which is normally perhaps this method. When you don't know someone and you, for example, travel, then there is a mosque and you don't know that person who is leading the prayer, for example. You haven't asked two just people because you don't know the people who are there, and you don't have also Shia. The fourth is Husnul Zahir. Husnul Zahir means his appearance, his outward appearance suggests that he is a mu'min, he is a righteous person. Husnul Zahir والمواظبة على الشرعيات والطاعات. You see, he looks a nice person. Mu'mineen say their prayer behind him. You don't know these mu'mineen, but it gives you a kind of evidence, a kind of sukoon, a kind of peace of mind that these mu'mineen who are saying their prayer behind him, okay, they must have trust in him. Or someone that you know yourself for some time, still not enough to become certain, but you have always seen him praying, fasting, not doing haram, being careful. You are not 100% sure. There is no common information about this. There are no two just people, but you have husnul about this person. So husnul zahir والمواظبة على الشرعيات والطاعات. He's a person who has muwadhaba, he's committed, he's very much committed to what? To do shar'iyat, religious affairs and acts of obedience. Hudurul jama'at, he attends jama'ah, he attends community meetings. وهذا الطريق حجة ولو لم يحصل منه العلم أو الظن. This is hujjah, this method is valid even if it doesn't lead to certainty or even doesn't lead to one suspicion or speculation. Imam Khomeini in Tahrir al-Wasila, of course, this is a modified version because I've made it into textbook. But I think in Tahrir al-Wasila, when he talks about Salatul Jama'ah and Idala of Imam, I think he says, Al-Aqwa Husnul Zahir Hujjatun Ta'abbudiyah. Al-Aqwa. He says, Husnul Zahir is a hujjah that is given to us even if it doesn't produce certainty or dhan. You can rely on hujjah. Because many times, it's very difficult to establish 100% or 99% someone is adil. Yeah? When you go to a center, to a mosque, and there is an imam, how can you be sure? Or even how can you be saying there is a great chance that he is adil? Because you don't know that people. And actually to be a person who is adil is not very common. Yeah? To say that this person doesn't commit sin at all, as malaka that stops him, it's not very common, but we can establish this through trust of mu'minin. But this husnul zahir is not there if you go to a place, like for example, you go to airport, okay, and there is no fixed imam. If there is fixed imam and mu'minin say prayer behind that person, mu'minin, then you can say there is husnul zahir. But for example, you go to an airport, prayer room, and there is someone praying, and other people are saying their prayer behind him. This is not enough, because maybe these people don't know him. Maybe for them it's okay, because some people, as soon as they see an alim, they have trust, which is good, alhamdulillah. But when you study fiqh and study these things, it's more difficult for you. Once in I don't know, was Mashhad airport or Tehran airport, I was there and a sheikh came and some people started praying behind him. And I think I also prayed behind them, but then I repeated my prayer without them noticing. But someone then asked me, why sheikhs don't say prayer behind another sheikh? And I said, it's not that they have problem of, like jealousy or rivalry, but the thing is that you have to know that this person is adil. And because we are familiar with the requirements, for us it's more difficult to say our prayer behind someone that we don't know at all. Do you get the point? But also, if people are saying prayer behind them, you should not say prayer separately to signal that you don't trust. So you say your prayer with them, but then for ihtiyat you do it again for others. But this is different from a masjid or center who has fixed congregation, because they are living together and they know him, and if he was not adil, these people were not saying their prayer behind him. Do you get the difference? Yes. Pardon? But you have to recite yourself, especially if it is Maghrib and Isha or Fajr. They will realize that you are reciting, so they don't take it as a unity.
If there is an imam in a community,
yes,
we should not investigate about the person if it's in the community.
Yes.
But as you
unless it is proved that these people don't bother about these things. But if it is normal community, there is husnul zahir that They are mu'min and this is their imam, they know him, they trust him.
But as you gave the example of the airport,
Ah.
do we have to investigate or we just say play with them?
No,
and then-
in the airport, if this is not a resident imam or established imam, it's just a passenger. So you have to investigate because they are all passengers. Yeah? Yes. If there is a group of 10, 20 passengers and they choose one of them to be imam, maybe this is okay.
Yeah.
Because they know each other. So you see a group of talab are traveling and they trust one of them. So you can take this as husn al-zahir. But if they don't know each other and it just has happened, that's a time of prayer and they are waiting for their flight and they are saying the prayer, then you cannot say this is an evidence. Yeah, it happens. So, there are 4 methods for establishing adala of someone. Okay? Now we are talking about marja, but as I said, this comes also in the issue of imamul jama'ah. Because imamul jama'ah has to be adil. The first method is you have lived with that person, you have personal contact with that person, which produces either ilm aw itmi'nan, certainty or very close to certainty. You have no worry. Second, ashiya'ul mufidul lil-ilm. It has been well spread. You ask everyone, they say, this ayatullah is adil. Third, shahadatu adlain. 2 just people, adlain is adilain. 2 just people bear witness that he is adil. Fourth, husnul zahir. There is husnul zahir. He looks to be a mu'min, not just by having a beard. You cannot say, because he has a beard, so he's a husnul zahir. No, means like mu'minin say prayer behind him, he's a resident imam of somewhere, or you have seen him attending Salatul Jama'ah, praying, fasting. There is some basis, some evidence that he's a mu'min, but you are not sure. Even you may not have dhan, but there is husn al-zahir. The 9th condition for marja is al-a'lamiyya, to be the most knowledgeable. As you remember, when we studied usul al-istinbat, we said there are 2 views, major views, but there are more than 2 when it goes to details. Some say a'lamiyya is needed, some say a'lamiyya is not needed. Those who say a'lamiyya is needed, either they say all the time or they say a'lamiyya is needed if you know that they are different in level of knowledge or they have different fatwas. Then you have to look for a'lam. But if you don't know at all whether there is a'lam or not and whether fatwas are different or not, some say you don't need to investigate. And some say no, you have to always look for a'lam. And some say a'lamiyya is not needed, like the author of Usul al-Istinbat. He had the idea that a'lamiyya is not needed. So, according to Imam Khomeini, al-a'lamiyyatu ala al-ahwati wujuban. So one of the conditions of marja is to be a'lam, but this is for Imam Khomeini ihtiyat wajib. Ma'al imkan, if it is possible to follow a'lam. Because maybe a'lam is someone that you don't have access to him. There is no way to understand his fatwas. His risala is not available and he cannot communicate. So then it's not necessary. If there is imkan, there is possibility, you have to follow a'lam. وَيَجِبُ الْفَحْصُ عَنِ الْأَعْلَمِ. You cannot say, okay, if I come to know that someone is a'lam, I will follow. But I don't investigate. No. He says, يَجِبُ الْفَحْصُ عَنِ الْأَعْلَمِ. you must investigate. Fahs means investigation, research. Yeah, you must look for a'lam. What happens if there is a'lam and you don't follow him? You follow the one who is not a'lam. What happens? إذا قلد غير الأعلام, if he follows the one who is not the most knowledgeable, فالأحوط وجوبا العدول إلى الأعلام. احتياط واجب is to refer to أعلم. عدول means to stop and shift to the أعلم. Okay? Why it says احتياط واجب? Why he doesn't say you must? Because for him أعلمية is by itself احتياط واجب. So عدول also becomes احتياط واجب. عدول cannot be fatwa. Okay? Because أعلمية is a condition based on احتياط واجب. Therefore عدول to أعلم also becomes احتياط واجب. مع الاختلاف بالفتوى. If there is difference in fatwa, maybe it was مع العلم بالاختلاف بالفتوى. Here it has written مع الاختلاف بالفتوى, but you need to check. Maybe it's مع العلم بالاختلاف. If you know there is difference of fatwa, or if there is difference of fatwa. I think there is missing here something. Another question. If I investigate and I realize A is a'lam and I follow him. After some time, B becomes a'lam. Is an emerging ayatollah who is, mashallah, very knowledgeable, and he precedes this, the one which used to be a'lam. He is no longer a'lam. This one is now a'lam. Can I continue with my marja or I have to shift? Imam Khomeini says, ihtiyat wajib is to shift. وَإِذَا قَلَّدَ الْأَعْلَمِ ثُمَّ صَارَ غَيْرُهُ أَعْلَمَ مِنْهُ. Then someone else becomes more knowledgeable than this person. So, you establish Ayatollah A is a'lam. You follow him. After some time, you establish Ayatollah B is a'lam. You have to shift to Ayatollah B. الأحوط وجوبا العدول إلى من صار أعلم منه. احتياط واجب is to shift to the one who has become more knowledgeable. Yeah? What's the difference between this one and the previous one? The previous one was you have followed the one who was not a'lam. We say you must go to a'lam. Ihtiyat wajib is to go to a'lam. Now we say even if you have followed a'lam, but someone else became a'lam in this process, you have to shift to a'lam. You see the difference between this mas'ala and previous mas'ala? Question. Whether I should follow a'lam or not by itself needs taqlid. Whose idea I should follow in this case? Okay? He says, يجب تقليد الأعلم في مسألة تقليد الأعلام. It's very rational. If you want to know what to do, you have to find out who is a'lam. If he says you can go to غير a'lam, okay. If he says you must go to a'lam, you go to a'lam. You cannot follow غير a'lam and then he says no problem, for example. So, in other words, if you follow a'lam, you are on the safe side. If you don't follow a'lam, it has to be based on the fatwa of a'lam, so that you have hujjah. Okay? So either you follow A'lam, or at least you ask A'lam, and if he gives you permission to follow غير A'lam, it's okay. If you don't want to do this, you have to do ihtiyat. Okay? يجب تقليد الأعلم في مسألة تقليد الأعلم. Of course, if you don't want to do ihtiyat, you must follow A'lam. If you want to do ihtiyat, that's okay. But we said ihtiyat is not something that everyone can do. Yes.
Why should the alim allow you to follow the alim?
Because maybe his understanding is, like we had in Usul al-Istinbat, that A'lamiyya is not a requirement. You refer to expert. You don't need to go to any expert who is most knowledgeable. We had different arguments for and against A'lamiyya. Yeah? So, in any case, if A'lam himself says A'lamiyya is not needed, okay, you can go to someone who is not A'lam, who is maybe second or third, whatever. But if A'lam says you must follow A'lam, what hujjah you have to go to non-A'lam? You say this non-A'lam says A'lamiyya is not needed. It's not enough. If non-A'lam says A'lamiyya is needed, then you cannot follow him because he himself says, don't follow me. But if A'lam says A'lamiyya is not needed, then you go to Ghayra A'lam and he says A'lamiyya is needed, it's not a problem. You can still follow him. You understand? There is another question. We had this in Usul al-Istinbat. What do we mean by A'lamiyya? You remember the author of Usul al-Istinbat used as one argument against A'lamiyya as a condition that it's very difficult and there is controversy about what is A'lamiyya. You remember? He said it's very difficult for a person, a lay person, to know what is A'lamiyya and who is A'lam. Of course, we gave an answer there, but in any case, what is opinion of Imam Khomeini? Is it a matter of having more masail in your mind? Is it a matter of having more experience, more fatwas? What is A'lamiyya? Imam Khomeini says, Al-a'lamu huwa man yakunu a'rafa bil-qawa'id wal-madarik lil-mas'ala. A'lam is the one who has more ma'rafa, more knowledge of rules, fiqhi rules, usuli rules, rijali rules. Okay? He has more ma'rafa, more knowledge of the rules and madarik, resources, references. Because a very important part of process of ijtihad is to know all the relevant references. Yeah? All the hadith, especially hadith. Because ayat are not many. There are about 500 ayatul ahkam. But ahadith are many. Aql also has some, mustaqillat aqliya and ghayr al-mustaqillat, we have discussed this in Usul al-Fiqh. Aql is also there, but the most important reference for fiqh is hadith, is the sunnah. So, A'lam is the one who knows qawaid more and knows madarik. Madarik is the plural form for madrak, which means reference. وَأَكْثَرُ اطِّلَاعًا عَلَى الْأَخْبَارِ, which is explanation of the same thing, has more information about hadith. وَأَجْوَدُ فَهْمًا لَهَا, and he has better understanding of hadith. Because it's not just a matter of knowing Arabic. To be able to understand hadith of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. This is a great, matter of knowledge and expertise. Fiqhul hadith, to understand the hadith of Ahlul Bayt. Wal hasil, conclusion, altogether, A'lamiyya means to be better in istinbat, to be better in drawing Islamic rulings. Okay?